Prep is not a surrogate counselor. Right, guys, we're going to get deep and dirty with it today. We're going to pull out the chaise longue. We're going to get into a deep and dark counseling session. And we're going to dive into some of the emotions behind bodybuilding. Now, this is something that I see all too often. I've done it, and I'm pretty sure most bodybuilders have done it. We use prep, or we use a diet, or we use training as a distraction, or as a reset point. You know, what do I mean by a reset point? Going through a bad breakup, you know, going through struggles at home, going through stresses, going through emotions. You hit the line of, I just need something to focus on. I'm going to dive into a prep. Now, is this an optimal time to be taking on something that is intensively stressful on your social aspects of life, your emotional aspects of life, personal aspects of life? Probably not. So, are we driving an emotional response here, or are we driving an adequate response from something that we can utilize in a positive place? And this is something that I've experienced from myself. It's something that I've experienced from clients. Of course, we want a distraction, but are we using this as a healthy distraction, or are we potentially going to be stacking up more and more problems that are going to cause more problems and bite us in the ass further down the line? So guys, I'm going to dive into the right times to prep, the wrong times to prep, and other things that we can utilize to potentially help with some of these life stresses that we want to run and hide from, because a lot of us do just want to bury our head in the sand, and that's fine. That's what we do. But if we tackle them head on, you tend to find that things will have a much more prosperous and bright light at the end of the tunnel. So utilizing a prep as a distraction, I mean, if we say it out loud, we know it's stupid. You know, we don't even have to dive into the realms of as to why it's stupid, but why do we hit this default button? Why is it when, you know, we struggle with food, or when we're struggling with training, or when we're struggling with certain life aspects, the bodybuilders always hit that kind of reset button of, I just need prep and then I'll be absolutely fine. We don't just need prep, because that's just running and hiding away from the distraction of what it is that is the issue. What we need to do is address the issues that we've got in front of us. Now, is that food focus? Is that relationship problems? Is it adherence problems? You know, what's the point in jumping into a prep if we're struggling with any of those? Because it's just going to potentiate those problems and make those problems worse. So what we need to do is tackle them head on. And obviously that's probably the reason why we want to dive into a prep, because we don't want to tackle them head on. But obviously our problems aren't going to get fixed if we don't do that. So the optimal time to be starting a prep is obviously when all of our ducks are in a row, when we have real good, healthy relationships with food, when we have real good, healthy relationships at home, or have addressed the unhealthy relationships that we've got within our social circles or within our working environments. When we're in a potential or position where everything is balanced, you know, we have good financial income, we have good stability, we have good mindset, good emotions, good food behaviors, that's when we want to start something like a prep, because we're in the most optimal place possible. We all know, and if you haven't competed before, I'm going to educate you, that prep is a very stressful time. It has impacts on your social life. It has impacts on your financial life. It's fucking expensive. It has impact on everything to do with your emotions, your fatigue, just the way you view and see things, which some can be very positive, some can be negative. It is all very person dependent. But we don't want to dive into this time with any one of those having cracks in the seams, because it's just going to heighten those senses. It's just going to potentiate those problems. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to make it worse, which is not what we want to do. So when we've got these background issues, or when we've got these background focuses, such as, you know, negative food habits or negative adherence habits, it's something that we want to address within an off season, or within a more of a relaxed phase. And I don't want to say an off season is relaxed, but it's easier because you have higher levels of food, because you have higher levels of focus. You know, you're not running to the ground with cardio. You're not restricted so much with food. You're not got the overhead looming kind of stress of a show, you have more leniencies here. And this is where you can afford to be a little bit more flexible. You know, turning the dial up and saying, right, I'm now in a prep, therefore I have to perform, brings about a question of why can't you do that away from the stage? Why can't you do that away from a prep? What is it about a improvement phase or a growth phase or a off season? Is it the word off that then almost cements the fact that you can just relax and switch off and, you know, stop being as structured or as adherent to your plans? And I'm not saying you have to be 100% mindset of prep in an off season, because you don't. But what is it about, and this is where we're going to bring it back to the subject, when I'm in prep, I'm 100% and I need prep to be 100%. You know, what is it about not having that same structure and that same focus and that same adherence within any phase? Why do we use prep as almost like a band-aid? Because it most definitely is not. So guys, hopefully that highlights some of the things of when and when not to prep, how we can kind of move forward in a progressive manner, not just from a bodybuilder, but also as personal and emotional development as well. We don't want to use prep as that secret tool to help us get through these emotions. We don't want to use that as the default button of, right, my life is turning to shit, what do? Less prep, because that's most definitely not the answer. And there's going to come a point where we're not going to be competing anymore, and then what do we do then? So as always guys, any problems, any questions, anything you want me to dive into further, please do not hesitate to ask. Much love, stay blessed, and I will see you all soon.